All right, welcome into another episode of Not a Podcast, the greatest not podcast to ever exist. We are here for episode 2. The haters thought we couldn't do it, but we're here, which is actually a lie. We're not big enough to have haters, tragically. But last week we covered the Ice Nine Kills album, Welcome to Horrorwood with Adori. This week we're gonna do something a little more in the line of what I kind of envisioned originally with this podcast, which is just shooting the breeze and talking about a little bit of anything. And to help me do that, we have maybe my favorite go-to let's just talk about things person in the world, which is a title, by the way. Asridain. Welcome into this show that somehow you I don't want to say your life has hit like a new low, but you're here now, man. You're here.
A new low. I assure you, I can't go any lower. Nah,
this is
appreciate the.
this is uh this is like people say, oh, he's hit rock bottom, but like you bring a pickaxe, so like it's
I bring the power drill. Let's just keep digging deeper.
yeah, let's do it. I mean, why not, right? That's I feel like there's something majestic about a pickaxe, right? There's something about like just the if you can get a good motion going. I wouldn't I wouldn't know from personal experience. I would know from video game experience.
All those hours in Minecraft and Terraria.
Exactly. And New World, you get such a nice cadence to it when you it's
Yes.
just ping, ping. It's lovely. It's great. So a brief introduction here in terms of you are a streamer as well, and obviously one thing about this show that I kind of thought I don't know, I'd never really seen around was this is a show that kind of celebrates small streamers because nobody here is there's never going to be the day where we have somebody with a massive following on here. Even if the show were to take off and do really well, that's just not really the point of it. Um, the point is just kind of, for lack of better term, shooting the shit and just messing around. But I do think there's an interesting experience to being a small streamer, and there's something that big streamers, to no fault of their own, just can't relate to really, because so many of them I think are so far removed from the realities of what it's like to be a small streamer. I was just kind of curious, with the Dory we last week we kind of waited till the end to talk about streaming, but right out of the gate I wanted to know what would you say is what would you say is the most challenging part of being a small streamer?
For me, I would say just keeping the audience engaged. There's been a handful of times where I'll
Hmm.
start off and I just usually won't say things. I kind of will let the game talk because more times than not, I want people, yes, to be entertained, but I also want them to see what exactly they may be interested or a game they have never even heard before, or one that they just like tuning into every once in a while with a little bit of commentary here and there.
Hmm.
For instance, I popped back into a game I haven't touched in years, but I figure, you know what, why not? Let's just throw it on there, called Ukulele. Um, for those who are unaware of it, the people who created a lot of the OG rare titles, so like Conker's Bad Fur Day, Donkey Kong 64, and the biggest one, Banjo-Kazooie,
Hmm.
those people left Rare way back in the day and created their own company, basically called Playtonic. And their first title to release, with even the musical composer that did those greatest hits that you may know from the Rare world, he got back onto that. Um, and they came out with a game called Ukulele, which is about a chameleon and a bat. So the quote unquote spiritual successor to Banjo Kazooie.
Yeah, it
Um,
sounds like there was a lot of carryover, and I really like to see that when you can have a passionate group of people who not only get together to make one project, but then they're like, "Hey, we're running it back. We're doing this again." It's always fun to see, and usually that's where the term "spiritual successor" has gone to be almost a scary word now because it's abused so much, where people are trying to cash in on nostalgia. But when you do have a team that well and truly gets back together in that way, it's always pleasure. I'm not familiar with the game though. I've committed one of the cardinal sins of gaming, and I've actually never played Banjo Kazooie. So
Oddly
I
enough, after I was done with my stream and I rated somebody else, I like, yeah, I was doing this. They're like, "What's that? Never heard that game." I'm like, oh, it's quote unquote spiritual successor to Banjo Kazooie, which was followed by, oh, what's that game? And I'm like, oh god,
I
no.
I learned all about Banjo Kazooie when a good buddy of mine. Basically, he didn't, but he basically cried tears of joy when Banjo Kazooie came to Smash. Like he was
Yes.
beyond excited, and seeing that kind of reaction from him, I had to look into it. You know, I had to at least get a grasp of okay, what are we talking about here? Because if it means that much
Because
to somebody, it's got to be cool.
so quote unquote a bit of an older head. I grew up with the generations of the N64, the PlayStation, people playing Sega SNES.
Mm-hmm.
So I was one of those crazy N64 kids when it came out, and I got it in my Christmas wrapping. I was literally rolling around the floor in excitement.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but these
I,
were the
yeah.
old explore the map, collect X, Y, and Z in every map, and eventually go and win the game. And that kind of ideology died out, when later games started coming out and the genres of what people were really into um, rose above just old collector games. So that's what they were basically doing. And I had to Google the composer's name real quick, but Grant Kirkhope.
Mm,
Um, he's also was invited on a couple of Banjo-Kazooie speedruns
yeah. Oh, that's
for like
cool.
just a guest to talk. And oddly enough, when his son played the game, and you were like, "What do you think of it?" And he's like, "I really like it. I really especially like the music," with no idea that he was the one who made the music.
What if it had been the opposite? It's all great
Oh,
except for this one thing.
yeah.
You know, my actual so my enduring I guess memory of Banjo Kazooie as somebody who's never played it, and this is probably gonna hurt the hearts of like diehard fans of Banjo Kazooie, but there was a I want to say Banjo Kazooie. What was it called? Banjo Tooie, like the
It
sequel.
is. Yep, that's the second
Um,
one.
and I there was somebody doing a speed run, and it's kind of one of those famously awkward internet moments. You may have seen it, where the one guy is there doing the speed run, and he's sitting on a couch, right? And he's got his buddies up there. Which,
Hmm.
by the way, I've never understood. Why do you have people up there with you? Like, what are they doing? Are they rubbing your thigh? Are they like?
It's part of the commentary, because if you're so engrossed into your game, making sure you have all your ducks lined in a row,
Uh
you don't
huh.
have time to be able to do that and talk unless you're just
Yeah,
that
but usually they
uh,
just sit there
focused.
quietly, right? Like,
That
as
they
a
could be introverts.
whole tangent. I'm not gonna. That's not the point of my story. The point of my story was that there's one guy. There's one real laugh riot. He keeps making jokes the whole time, and they're painful, right?
Hmm.
Um, and eventually the guy doing the speed run just snaps. He's like, "I'd really prefer it if you be quiet." And then you think it can't get any worse, but the awkward silence the rest of the playthrough is just
Oh no.
unbearable because everybody knows, like, oh shit, they hate each other. And yeah, if you haven't seen it, look it up at some point. Or in fact, I'll just send it to you. And if you never watch it, it doesn't hurt my feelings. But I used to be the guy that would like watch cringe compilations and all that, which is in and of itself cringe. So you know, live by the
Hmm.
cringe, die by the cringe, I guess. But yeah, no, it's just one of my enduring memories about Banjo Tooie is like I can close my eyes and see the scene, and that's so weird for a game that I have never played. you know, I don't know. It's but you know, I guess God bless speedrunners because that's not a thing that's in my wheelhouse. That's not a thing I could do.
Oddly enough, my copy of Banjo-Tooie, for some weird reason, would no longer save after a certain point.
Yeah, you were just on
So,
extra hard mode.
something. So, like, I was actually like, I was on the last two or three levels, because it was like this fire and ice level, and then it was the industrial level where you turn into a washing machine of all things. Oddly enough, that was a joke in the first one that you could randomly transform into instead of the level's creature or whatever,
Yeah.
and they carried it over and turned it into a actual normal thing you turn into.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah, but yeah, I every time I play a little bit, I'm like, okay, I save and quit. I'd load back up to the next day, it never saved. So, and I never could figure out why exactly it wouldn't save. But
So
I've hopped into a couple of people who've ran it, and like, okay, I have closure now. I can be satisfied with that.
so kids are stupid, right? Generally, because
Hmm.
when I was a kid, I was a stupid kid. Maybe I shouldn't say all kids, but I was a stupid kid. And this is related. This is I didn't understand how save systems worked, right? So I would go to Blockbuster,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought you had to get the same disc you had last time. So whenever we'd return one, I would always put it at the back because they'd have the stack of like three copies of God of War or whatever, and I'd always put it at the back because I was like, well, surely they won't cycle through this before I come to rent it again. Um, and I'd get home, and if there was no save file, I'd be like, ah, shit, I got the wrong one. Um, and I just remember that because like now looking back, it's like, wow, I was not intelligent. And then now I'm only intelligent enough to realize how unintelligent I was then. So yeah, I don't know. I just remember going back and like the disappointment when I'd get home and there'd be no save file, and I'd be like, yeah, I picked wrong. Uh,
Uh,
yeah.
we kind of discovered that in regards to when we got our first PS2. Well, we had PS1 memory cards. We didn't realize you had to get a separate memory card for one PS2
Yeah,
game.
yeah, that's some bull right there.
But they can do backwards compatibility, so you can have PS1 saves on a PS2 card.
Oh, okay, yeah. I used what was the little screen on the PlayStation 2 where you could go see the save file, and each
Yes.
game would have like a little avatar essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Way cooler than anything we have now. I think
That
that
was
was the
just a
way to do it.
picture, how many gigabytes it's holding up in your hard
It's
drive.
just going to be the artwork for the game, like whatever the
Mm-hmm.
cover art is, and then yeah, how many gigs. And I think we devolved. I think we regressed. I missed that screen, even though it made it far more personal to delete something.
I've never owned a PS3, but is that where it started, the whole picture and memory size?
PlayStation. I thought it was PlayStation 2 that did it first. Oh wait, no, you're saying that like with the picture and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So like Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 started that. Where like all of a sudden it was
Okay.
you got a very almost. It's kind of like how all the brand logos from the 90s have since been flattened. Um, it's the same thing. It's like they take the fun and they flatten it. It's just sad.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. It's ugh, I don't know, man. That's one of those weird things where it's like, why do I feel so strongly about this irrelevant subject? Like, why does it bother me so?
Because it was the one of the few things that kept us going back then.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, sometimes I do wonder, like, if I had never played a video game, what would my life look like? And that's not regret. That's just curiosity. It's like this morbid, I don't have any, I'm not like, oh, well, if I hadn't touched video games, I would have been the next Tom Brady. No, like, believe me, we were talking before we went live here about me starting to walk, and it's like walk with friends. It's like, dude, my hip hurts. How is this possible?
You'd probably hate going hiking with me because there's a trail not too far from us. Well, it's like a 45-minute drive, give or take, to get there. But then once you get there, it's called the Hidden Falls Trail, and it goes
Mm.
all the way back to literally this hidden waterfall where you used to be able to jump from like the upper part of it into the water, but people got hurt, so they stopped
Mm.
that. But it's a 3.6 mile there to the falls and a 3.6 mile back.
Oh man, yeah. No, I'm trying to work up to that kind of thing. So yeah, I did 6 miles yesterday and 4 miles today. And neither one was like setting out to do this distance. It's more just going out and walking with friends, and like, you set your watch, and then once you get back, you just see what you did. Um, which is nice. It's fine. It's I don't know. I find that I'm not under the impression that had I not played video games, I would be some super athlete or something. But I am a writer. I like to write in my free time, and sometimes I think like, if I would just take like a month, play no video games, I might actually finish a book for once. I don't know. Do you ever think about like what life would look like without video games?
There would definitely be a lot of free time. For me personally, it would
Mm-hmm.
be probably going out to the farther out places that I haven't ventured to yet,
Yeah.
or just going to the gym more.
Yeah, and the gym's important. It's people vilify the gym. The gym's there to help you, not hurt you. It's good.
Unless
Good.
you miss your box jump and you scrape your shins down on the metal bar.
Yikes.
But
Yeah. No,
that happened to
that
me.
wouldn't be fun. That's
Oh, that
I
sucked.
man, that's but see, at least that one everybody hears it and they're like, "Ooh, that's painful. That sounds rough." For me, my recurring gym injuries on my left wrist, anytime I try to do power cleans with it, my
Ooh,
left
okay.
wrist just flares like it's on fire. And nobody feels bad for bitch boy who can't lift the weight without hurting his whittle wrist. It's not cool. It's not a cool injury. And which is the shame of it all is you talk about like, where's life without video games? For me, growing up, as ridiculous as it sounds, I wanted to be a pro wrestler. That's what I wanted to do. And that carried over into my early 20s, right? Like I always had it in the back. Even some days, I tell you, man, some days I'll wake up, I'm like, uh, but then I go to work out and I realize I can't do it because my body is apparently made of like brittle bones. Um, but yeah, it's I don't know. It's no, that is a kind of fun question. This is we have a light script here to give a peek behind the curtain. It's bullet points. We have bullet points. And this one's not on the bullet points, so this is I did tell Dory too. I threw things at her that I didn't tell her we were going to because I'm
Yeet.
because I'm a mean host. When you were a kid, did you have like a dream job?
Oh, easily. I wanted to be an archaeologist. I wanted to go out and dig for dinosaur bones. It was
Ah,
every kid's dream.
that actually makes a lot of sense with how into dinosaurs you are. That
Hmm.
as some things are clicking. Go and tell the folks at home, both of them, what tell them the best dinosaur
Oh, of course, it's the Spino.
is the Spino, and it's not even close. Velociraptor, yeah, have fun with your turkey. Like it's people have wrong priorities. It's this
Oddly
thing.
enough,
This thing is big.
I listened to that book on one of my last trips back home because it's like a 7-hour drive, and we just listened to the whole Jurassic Park
Oh,
and just the difference in that and the movie. I'm like, okay, I could see where everyone's kind of getting at it.
yeah. I did it. We did. I don't remember the exact project, right? But I know I had to read like 8 books I'd never read before or something for some project while I was in college, and I chose Jurassic Park as one of them. And I remember reading it and thinking like, yeah, a lot of this did not make it to the film.
Hmm.
A lot of this is a really different story, and I am actually of the opinion that I think the movie's better, and I'm always the book is better type of guy, but in this case, the movie did such a good job of condensing. They took so much material and kept only the parts that were absolutely 100% necessary.
They
Um,
also swapped the way the lawyer kicks the bucket and the kids' kind of personas,
mhm.
because it was the little boy in the book who, he's just like, all right, we're just gonna get through this.
Yeah.
But in the movie, it's swapped. It's kind of like the little boy's the annoying one, and then the girl's just the, you know, keep pushing it along.
I liked the little boy most when he got zapped on the fence. I thought it was funny. But no, another thing was they made John Hammond much more likable. Um,
Hmm.
because in the book he's kind of a dick. He's not really that nice in the book. He's not I don't know. Like I feel like in the book he's almost just this kind of almost like the hyper capitalist monster like
It will work,
I'm gonna
I'll be
get my
damned if it doesn't.
profits and anything else, be damned.
Yeah.
He was more like he was more kind of a sweet old man. Now he was ambitious and he put people's lives in danger, but it was all clearly unintentional. Like he regretted it in the movie. I don't think that line about like I've decided not to endorse your park, and so have I. I don't recall that being in the book. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I don't think. Well, because it didn't end like that. There was hardly anybody left alive in the end of the book.
Yeah, that's true. Also, one thing that really hurts the book is
Hmm.
no Jeff Goldblum.
I
I
mean, well, his quote unquote. I mean, yeah, he's not in the book, but
He's
his
not in the book.
character kicks the bucket.
Yeah, you can't do that to Jeff Goldblum though.
Nope.
Jeff Goldblum's amazing. Yeah, I don't know. He just his delivery in every film he has ever been in, it's Goldblumian. It's
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 his own elemental table.
the element JB. Yeah. Well, hold up. Yeah, never mind. I don't understand elements, man. I'm gonna go on. And people always think, right? I say, oh, I'm not smart, and people always think I'm being like humble. I'm not smart. I don't understand the elements. it's it's not being humble if you're just like kind of leveling with yourself and understanding your situation. Um, I always found chemistry very very difficult.
Was never a fan of it myself either.
It was like combining math and science, and who does that? Who does that? Uh, but yeah, I don't know. That was I wasn't a fan, but yeah, we've gone a little off track here. I don't even we had started on the whole subject of like being a small streamer.
And then we
Um
just went
and
completely
then
left.
and then we just kept going. So I'm gonna circle it back a little bit here, and on the subject of being a small streamer, which yeah, I don't pick up from you that you're sitting there fuming, but I do want to clarify for the folks at home. I'm also a small streamer. I'm not insulting anybody by calling people small streamers. Like I average pretty poor numbers on Twitch, and that's when I stream, which is getting less and less frequent. But I don't know. I would say we already talked about one of the challenges. What would be one bit of advice you would give somebody who says, you know what, I'm gonna stream. I'm gonna be the next Ninja Fortnite Blevins.
So it would obviously be the networking involved, just
Mm.
being able to outreach not only on one platform but multiple. I really don't mess with it too much on Discord, or excuse me, on Facebook,
Hmm.
because that's really my only one. I don't mess with Instagram or TikTok or Twitter. Don't have any of them. I really just kind of stick to Discord. And
Yeah.
then after that, it's as kind of the opposite of what's happening to you with the frequency, but you have to have a set schedule and let alone the time to do it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
My time
That's
for it is, well, when I'm not on vacation like I am right now, it's very non-existent. I might do it like a couple hours on the weekend, and that's it. I can't do it Monday through Friday because that's basically my work hours is Monday through Friday.
yeah, and I do want to clarify that when I say I'm doing it less and less frequently, I'm not currently streaming with the thought of like making it as a streamer. I'm just kind of at this point in my life where when I stream, I do it because I've made some friends on Twitch, and I like to stream and have them pop into chat and kind of make memories there. So if you are looking to make it on Twitch, just piggybacking off what you said, you're absolutely positively right. A consistent schedule is everything. You need to know. You need to let people know where to find you, when to find you, how to find you. You know,
Hmm.
I'm going to be playing at this time on these days for this amount of time, roughly. It's okay if you go like it's okay if you go a little over on how long you stream, but you definitely don't want to make the habit of going under your expected stream time. But yeah, no, that's good advice. Yeah, it's basically I think networking is one of the hardest things about streaming, though.
Oddly enough, it was through Adori how I met you, so
Yeah, it's kind of
thanks to
if
her for that.
you want to talk about kind of funny like how these things work. So I play a random uh whenever I guess to give a little bit of whenever I play Dead by Daylight, right, and I see TTV in somebody's name, I always go back to see if they were live. I like to watch the game from their perspective. And there's not really a set reason because it kind of has multiple benefits. If they're super wholesome, I'll drop them a follow and I'll try to pop in their stream and tell them, hey, GG. Um, if they're super toxic, that's content for YouTube. And if they're not live, well, there's nothing to watch, so move on. But And then even part of it is like, I like to try to get better at the game by watching what I did from somebody else's perspective. So I have a game against Doski Lee, and she's got TTV in her name. So I go and I watch it. I was like, wow, she's super wholesome. Um, like having fun with the game, as blasphemous as that sounds. So I go and I follow Doski, and I think the way it happened was we both had TTV in our name, so she dropped me a follow without. But I wasn't live. I know I wasn't live when it happened, so I don't know if maybe she went to my profile and saw that I was a streamer. I don't really know. But either way, somehow we both ended up following each other, and she raided me one time, and with that raid came Odori, and then like Odori and I got to know each other, and I just think a lot of it about kind of that web almost where
Mhm.
you start with streamer A, and from them you start connecting B, C, and D, and it's really cool. I think it's really cool how networking. I've always wanted somebody to make like a little graph of it. But it's I'm not the change I want to see in the world, um, tragically. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of one of those. That's a story that didn't really go anywhere, but it is to say that networking is crazy how it works because yeah, we met through networking, even though it was unintentional networking, at least on my part.
You were a turkey VTuber the first time I saw you.
Yeah, I was. So it's actually funny. It's weird that anybody followed me at that point in time because like I to peel back the curtain some, I was like super depressed at the time, and even just like showing my face had gone to be. I just when you're already down, things that normally wouldn't bother you start to bother you. Um, and I was so down that like having people come into chat and be like, you fat pasty son of a bitch. Like usually that's in one ear out the other. It doesn't really bother me. But when you're already super sad about things, it's like, oh.
Yeah, it's just the icing on the proverbial cake.
Yeah. It's so yeah, at the time I was the turkey streamer. And I've had enough people that have asked me to go back to maybe one day. Maybe one day, but the time being maybe. Um I don't know, but yeah. So networking is a big thing. Networking, I would say it's more than a big thing. I'd say it's kind of everything, right? It's kind of. I think the way I heard it described best though is that if you go in and you put on your networking hat and you see you're gonna go networking and you pop into people's streams to network, what ends up happening is you come off as a guy who's trying to network. So
Right.
yeah, what you want to do is
Just go
go
in kind of
go
being you.
go be
That's usually
yourself. See if yeah. I mean, I felt like I cut you off there, so continue.
no, I was gonna say yeah, but go in kind of as you. So big instance, one of the people that I believe Kaira introduced me to, the Cosmic Dream.
Yeah. Oh
Uh,
wait, hold up. You know Dream? Okay.
hmm So recently, they did a whole like Veterans Day
Mm-hmm.
streams, and they played Bill, which oddly enough is one of my favorite people to be on Dead by Daylight. But I played Dwight just because he was easy to level. But they recently did a drawing for those who are either retired or actively serve.
Mm-hmm.
And next, what was it? I was playing the other day with my brother on Vanguard, and I just get this message saying, "Congrats, I won." I'm like, "Wait, what?"
Oh, that's cool.
So, um, I got to kind of re-talking with him here and there, and
Yeah.
that's not the first time that just networking. And I've popped in like, "Hey, you got this." I'm like, "Well, I literally just showed up, and you guys are just praising me and giving me things like, stop! I
it's
can't
like
take all
when
this wholesomeness."
it's like when you get a gifted sub to a stream you don't ever remember having been a part of. it's
But you
like
got it.
it's like yes, I deserve this. Yes, this does put a smile on my face. So I met Dream, who at the time was not the Cosmic Dream actually. Um, when I first met him, he was he streamed under his what I would presume to be his real name. Um, it was just the real blank blank. I'm not going to put it out there just because I don't know. I would assume if he streamed under it, I think he probably changed it for the sake of like branding because it's easier to brand like that.
Right.
But I don't know for sure, so I'm not going to put the guy's name out there. But yeah, so we were a part of this little streaming conglomerate almost. It sounds kind of like one of those scam groups, but it was legit. We all vibed with each other. We do like community nights and all that, and it was basically just streamers helping streamers. You go in, you meet some fellow streamers, you pop into their streams. Do you know Maury the Gremlin?
Oddly enough, Maury's my childhood friend.
Seriously? Wow.
Mhm.
Okay. Wow. I mean, what are the odds of that? Okay.
Yes, I've known Maury since we were growing up, and she lived just up the street from me.
Okay. So I met her. I met Maury through that group. So yeah, it was a really cool group though. A lot of some really cool people in there, and I really hated. It started off. Oh, I can't remember what it was called. Stream Warriors. It was Stream Warriors, and
Mhm.
that's where I met Dream. That's where I met Maury. It's not where I met my. Do you know? You don't know Bubbles Poupon, do you?
Not off the top of my head now.
No, but she one of my longest running friends in streaming, and she eventually joined the group and all that. Lots of people that I don't think still stream anymore, which is kind of one of the sad realities of small streaming. Is you're gonna make a lot of friends who decide they just don't want to do it anymore. Um, and I fully get that because I mean, what I've retired twice now. So, you know,
Two-time champ retiring.
what I find is that people stop taking it as seriously after the first time. You're allowed one retirement before people say, "Yeah, you always do this shit." That's why this time, like, I'm just not really streaming here lately, but I'm not making an announcement on the Discord about it. It's like, if they know, they know.
I
But
got you set for notifications, so I'll pop in whenever I see it if I'm able to.
yeah, that's all good. It's I think going back to talking about like some of the struggles of being a small streamer. It's at least from my perspective, it's kind of thankless in a lot of ways. Where it's very easy to feel envious of other streamers when you're small. Would you agree with that or disagree?
I would agree. I mean, I'm thankful just for one person to ever swing by and ever say hi. I mean, I've had whole 2+ hours where not a single person will swing in, but you know what? I'll just get my time in and kind of go from there.
Yeah, and that's the right mindset to have because we all have days where we get super frustrated with it, and it's I guess my thing just to peel back the curtain. And I guess one reason I like to put it out there is people always, you're so wholesome, right? You're wholesome. Do you ever get mad? Like, I'm not always wholesome. Everybody, if you think anybody on earth is always wholesome, I promise you're just not seeing a certain part of them.
Yeah.
And in my case, that's something I struggle with, is thinking like, you know what, damn it, I'm putting good content out there. I should have more viewers. And that's just not how it works. It's just, and it's not to say that the people at the top are bad content creators, because oftentimes that couldn't be further from the truth. It's just, you go into it and you assume, okay, if I'm engaging and I network and I so and so, I'm going to make it. But really, those things are the requirements for making it, yes. But the other requirement is luck. And I'm not
Hmm.
disregarding anybody who's made it to the top, um, because I'm acknowledging that they did network, and they were either really good at the game they play, or they were really good at engaging with their audience, or whatever it is. They have some kind of skill for sure. Even if it is just like that, their skill is just being amazingly beautiful. Like, you know what? Hey, more power to them. I definitely don't. I don't go after people for getting that. Getting that bread and whatnot. But I just. I don't know. I think one thing, I'm gonna answer my own question and say, what's one bit of advice for small streamers?
I'll tell you
You,
what it
you
is.
you probably won't make it as a full time streamer, in terms of you're not gonna be able to quit your day job and stream full time. Uh, if you do, great. Come back to this very podcast and tell me to suck it. And, I don't know. Like, I don't want to be a dick, but wouldn't you agree? Like, I think a lot of people during COVID. Ah, shit. YouTube's gonna wreck this video. I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people during the virus um, thought, well, I'll just stream. How hard can it be? It's hard. It's actually not. It's not easy to consistently be in the mood to stream.
I mean, so I feel like there's the goal to affiliate, cool, but that goal from affiliate to partner is just leagues. Like, okay, let's see how committed you're going to be.
Oh yeah.
And good example is good old Attack Rack and her like constant strive for what seemed like a whole month of streaming and just trying to hit all those,
Oh yeah.
particular guidelines and then setting. Apparently, you have to put in some package in order to actually get hit with partnership.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I saw that she put something like, yeah, I sent it forward and now we gotta wait. So I don't know if like you have to do the time and then you click like, hey, I hit all my check marks, review it and then kind of go from there.
I'm just gonna send him one that says like, "Hey, I tried my best." Uh, doesn't
You did the thing.
doesn't that count for something?
You get a cookie.
The only
Emote.
reason I want to be partnered is so I can create a Twitch team. That's it. That's why I want
That's
it.
fair. But then
That's
like once you're at that point, then you have to stick with it. So
yeah.
there's no turning back after that point. And then with getting that far comes all the things of people just trying to come in just to ruin you just for how far you've gotten,
Oh
or
yeah. Oh yeah.
that recent kind of bot invasion everybody had to deal
Yeah, that
with
bot
the
that bot thing was crazy. I got in the habit of setting my chat to emote only when I was offline, just so that people couldn't have bots come in and spam all kinds of things in my chat and get me banned. Um, because yeah, which is a terrible thing, and you're absolutely right. You touch on something very, very unfortunate, but very real. In that there's some people who their joy in life is to try to bring others down, and not to elevate themselves, but to bring others down, and that's pretty pathetic. But it's real. It's very real, and and most of them use Twitter daily. So it's I saw there was an attempt to like at last I checked, it had over 31,000 retweets of somebody trying to call out Mr. Beast for not helping the impoverished enough. It's like I don't even watch the dude's videos, but like, are you kidding? Nobody. This is like the ideal millionaire. This guy is out here actually trying to make a difference. Like I don't know, but like it's the good point that the way it was actually Charlie Moist Critical who talked about it. He said that the kind of double-edged sword of it is if you do something nice for people and you put it online, you're just in it for the glory. And if you do something nice for people and you don't put it online, people say, when's the last time you did something for people? It's yeah, it's a damn shame that you have this I'm not even gonna call it's not cancel culture. I guess to some extent, yeah, you're trying to cancel people, that's cancel culture. But to me, that's not there's something at the heart of it, right? There's something at the heart of it that's the issue. um I think I don't know. I think we have too many people who feel like they are the moral arbiters of our time. It's too many people just want to throw stones just to throw stones.
see how far you can yeet them.
Yeah, are you amazed that you haven't been canceled yet?
I'm hardly on enough to be canceled.
Yeah, I'm working on it though. I'm building the case against you and then I'll reveal it.
I bet.
Yeah.
Full send me, dude.
What was it? Yeah, do you know hold up, I wanna look up her new name because I don't wanna again dox anybody. People change their names and it's like, am I allowed to still reference the former name or no? Sarah Freak. I'll say Kenna. You know Kenna, right? And then it's not like I'm saying the last name and I do know her last name.
That name sounds familiar, yes.
She's a regular viewer of mine. She's one of the mods on my channel. Longtime friend, right? Longtime friend. And one time she did this thing. It was like a mock cancellation of me, where she went through to some of my DMs and altered them, like, but really obviously altered them.
Oh
And
yeah.
I got a kick out of it. It was very funny. It was let me see if I can find it. It's somewhere in my let's see. Yeah, well, okay, so I think I saved the picture just as I am canceled. I think that's the name of the file. Um yeah, that's good. It's yeah, so I'm actually gonna send this to you. It's pretty funny. It's and then I'll put it up on screen for the people at home. The good people. Um so this was what she made and she posted in a Discord we were both in. And like it's it's my favorite is I'm homophobic. Like that was my cancel worthy tweet was that or Discord message. That's how homophobes do it. They just come out. They don't say anything homophobic. They just say I'm homophobic.
Meanwhile, you're holding just the hard shell tacos in one hand.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good picture of me. I'm not gonna lie. That's it's several years old now at this point, but there's a real sass to it. There's a real sass to the picture. Um, yeah, wow, that's a haha, oops, my bad. I told you gay is bad. Supper was turkey, macaroni, and lima beans. I have a scatterbrained mind.
Apparently, you were in Turkey Day already.
I can't focus on my my hateful thoughts long enough. I have to talk about food eventually. Okay, so we actually have mentioned a few times, and we had said we were going to talk about this in the stream. So naturally, about 45 minutes into stream, I'm like, oh yeah, that thing we said we were going to like talk about pretty early. Talking about the streamer etiquette of real names versus fake names. Like that's kind of an interesting setup, isn't it? Where you don't know if you're allowed to call somebody by I guess their given Christian name.
Or whatever religion they decide to
No,
go
no,
for.
yeah, it's just the term,
Yeah.
kind of the old timey term of it. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm not implying. No, but yeah, it's an interesting
I
setup.
was dunked in a bucket of water at one point. That counts for something, right?
You see, I'm not part of the dunkers. I'm part of the sprinklers. We
Mm,
sprinkle.
okay.
Presbyterian gang. We shower. I
Nah,
actually
so
petitioned for that to be our slogan.
if it's someone that I've known for a hot minute, either IRL or just via just the streaming network, then they know it. They know it. If they refer to my name, cool, I'll respond to it. But those who I like meet relatively new and they look at my name and go, "Oh God, I'm gonna butcher it," and like, "Okay, it's fine."
Yeah, yeah, no, that's and there is some. I guess there is something. So I mentioned that Cosmic Dream used to go by his real name, his legal name, right? I think at that point, like, what else am I gonna call him? I would assume the streamer Becca, who I think I've rated her a few times from my channel, very talented, very good at Dead by Daylight. I would assume her name is Becca. So, like, what else am I gonna call her? Um, like at a certain point, or probably Rebecca, but the point stands. Um, that's not really where I think it gets interesting. The interesting thing is, using us as an example, if you got somebody named Das Food or Asridain, you know, do you call them by their screen name or their their real name, their made up name, or their parents' made up name, I guess.
I've also been called Asri for short, and I feel people are able to spit that out easier than trying to put the whole thing together.
See, I'm Southern, so like for me, it just becomes one kind of jumbled word. just just Asridain. It's we drop letters in the South. We say oh, it's just not our way. But yeah, I don't know. And then like I think I don't know. It's not just on stream though. I've noticed that even in just Discord voice calls where we'll get people together to play like Gartic Phone and all. Some people are kind of funny about keeping their screen name as the name you refer to them by, right?
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. And I do get it. So it is funny. Part of it for me, and this may be a completely arbitrary way to do it, I am much less concerned with calling a male streamer by their real name than a female streamer, because there are some fucking psychos out there. and
Mm-hmm.
and like look, I've dealt with some people who got a little creepy, but that's kind of my point, is that if I've dealt with it, I know that I know that every female streamer out there is having to deal with 10 times what I had to deal with. Like I go in some of my friends chats and I'm like, holy shit, you have to put up with this every stream, people just acting like dogs in the comments. Like, I don't know. I mean, look, I get it. I'm not out here to hate a simp. I'm just saying, like, keep it respectful. So definitely, I try my best never to call female streamers by their real names, just because I understand that there's some nut jobs out there, man. There's some people out there that you don't really hear just a ton of stories about like a crazy female stalker who finds her. You don't really get like the movie and the book Misery. That usually it's not really the lady fans you got to worry about. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're constantly like having to keep your house locked up so the ladies can't come in and break your foot or whatever they want to do.
Joke's on them. I live on base.
Yeah, well, there you go. That makes it harder. It's got to be some consolation. Like as a streamer, it's like, well, no crazy stalkers getting here. That's
Nah, just the neighbors.
yeah,
I've
living.
actually got a neighbor down the street who has told me, it's not gonna matter what hour of the night or day it is, but if he ever catches a live bat in his house, he's going to grab it, run down my house to my house, and bang on my door to show me it.
Oh well, I mean, I guess you got to stay alert for that. Yeah, this guy, that's exciting. Yeah, sure. Play with
Because
you.
he's also been trying to. We have the pronghorn deer that just roam about base like they own the
Yeah,
place, which they pretty much do. And he's been trying to get one in his garage a couple of times. They're dumb, but they're not that dumb.
yeah. They pronghorns are beautiful. Those are beautiful animals.
We just call them the fluffer butts.
Just call them the fluffer butts.
Mm-hmm. Because it just their fluffy butts look like loaves of bread.
We
That of a
uh
corgi almost.
we have so many deer in the south. I think we'd be better off just calling them like the things you try not to hit while you drive. Uh because deer are everywhere down here, and then they see your lights and they freeze. It's like if they would just take off it'd be fine, but they freeze. Um I actually get kind of nervous driving around at night because there's so many deer that come out at night, and
So
they're
we're the opposite. Like where I'm at, the number of deer I've seen in the almost 3 years I've lived here now have probably been less than 20.
really.
Yeah, they're
Wow.
that just sparse. I mean, apparently a baby moose was seen running around the base at one point. I missed that, but somebody had pictures. Um, Pronghorn are everywhere. The crows, the magpie are everywhere. You'd be lucky to see the deer. I've seen one badger,
Yeah.
and I've heard of a porcupine because
Have you never seen a
my kid.
porcupine in person?
I've seen them in person, but I'd never seen it like out in the wild in person.
Okay, yeah.
But it was my kid's teacher at the school she went to. Um, she was telling, because I bumped into her at one point. She's telling like, yeah, my dog found a porcupine in the bush on like this part of the base because it started growling, then it jumped into the bush. Next thing you know, it comes out with a bunch of quills stuck up its nose.
Ooh, yeah, yeah.
Like,
It's a
yep,
it's a good defense system.
they exist. Just
Yeah,
don't want to go jumping into any bushes then.
yeah. You just gotta be careful with that. But thankfully, they don't want to mess with you, and they don't want you to mess with them. So if you keep your distance, you're good.
Hmm.
Now, transitioning here a little bit. I don't have a clever transition. I'm not a clever man. We had talked about discussing music a little bit here because I think music is it's a big part of everybody's life. Everybody needs their music, whether it's to calm down or really do anything. Music can fit basically any mood, any period of life. So I want you to talk a little bit about what's music mean to you? Who do you like to listen to? Let's talk music.
So I grew up with a handful of CDs that I would borrow every once in a while, or maybe get the occasional burned one from a friend.
Hmm.
But so I grew up during, let's see, one of the biggest ones that was an impact for me was this metal group that was called All That Remains. And I discovered them sophomore year of high school because I was big into Guitar Hero, and their song Six was like in the extras towards the very bottom that you can unlock.
I actually didn't know that. I didn't know they were in any of the
Hmm.
Guitar Heroes.
Yep. And then I heard that, I'm like, okay, they sound like a cool group. So I went out with my mom to a CD store because back then we actually
Yeah, I was
had
gonna
those.
say
Getting a CD
rest in
nowadays is kind
peace
of
to
hard.
those.
We found it, and I plopped it into my CD player. I put my earphones in, not realizing I had the volume pretty loud. And the very first song is called "This Calling" off of that album. It was "The Fall of Ideals,"
Okay.
and it just opens with just this scream.
Oh yeah.
And my ears weren't ready, my heart wasn't ready, but at the very end, when I kind of calmed down from like, holy crap, okay, let's see what they have all to offer. And that was kind of my gateway into metal and then heavy rock. Now more so I'm into Gemini Syndrome, which they've been around for a handful of years. They just released their third album, which we had to order because I couldn't find it anywhere, damn it. Um, and I've seen them live several times. I've got a handful of autographs. I have a drum head
Oh,
that I
that's
bought
cool.
and had autographed by the singer, the bassist, and the drummer because they were like the the main staples of the group.
Yeah. Yeah, every band it seems kind of has their main characters almost, where like certain members can come and go, but you got to keep them there.
Yeah. I even wrote to them when I was deployed. My wife saw them in concert when I was out. She hand delivered my note to one of them, and they reloaded it on their Facebook. And just the reactions I got from people I was not expecting, they absolutely just loved it.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. That's first off, that's wholesome. That's kind of wholesome to see that kind of support, you know. Um, but then beyond that, I think it's cool just to know that like a group you really care for and you really like is not only aware of your existence, but like that something you were able to give them meant something to them after all that they've surely been able to give you, you know, because I think that not to overstate their purpose, but our favorite artists do give us something. They do give us it's more than just enjoyment. At least I think with something like music, it's so much more than just temporary entertainment, you know.
And then from I guess that, but back to the high. So like I grew up with like My Chemical Romance coming out,
Hmm.
like the more emo scene, Linkin Park, um, but and then I was also a big fan of Disturbed
Oh
and
yeah.
the handful of their albums that would come out.
Yeah, Disturbed was definitely an early influence for me. I I don't know. I'm amazed at Disturbed. Not only do they have some genuinely good original songs, but it feels like whenever they decide to take aim at a cover, they don't miss. They really do well with covers. Uh,
Majority of Genesis. They have the one cover from U2, an Alice in Chains cover, and
I feel like we talked about that, and I can't remember what song do they do from Alice in Chains?
Living After Midnight,
Okay, yeah. Um,
which I had
it,
no idea like because it was an extra and you had to like, and it wasn't even listed on the back of the CD. You just play. I think there was like 12 tracks, and then all of a sudden you saw 13. Like, what's this doing here?
yeah, exactly. Which is kind of cool. I like stuff like that. I like it when a band is willing to surprise you with things, even though it would probably be more short term beneficial um, to just go on and say, yeah, we're covering a popular song. It's more, I don't know, it feels more artistic to just put it out there. But yeah,
Also, like mentioning Guitar Hero, like Rock Band was also a big influence for me.
mm,
And when I was going through band in junior high and high school, I was a percussionist. I couldn't play the drum set to save my life. I
Mm,
sat down with Rock Band and actually learned how, work hand feet together. And I'm like, okay, I have a better understanding now. I can actually do this thing.
yeah, dude, I loved the whole Guitar Hero Rock Band era. That was that's one of those things I kind of wish could somehow make a comeback because it's been enough time. Let's all get into that again. let's let's all do it. It's
I had to laugh because I lent my drum set to my friend who lived up the street at the time, and then we went over to his place to play it. And I'm playing on the drum, and all of a sudden, like I'm wearing just my socks because I don't use my shoes for it. Uh, and all of a sudden, something feels really sharp underneath my feet. I'm like, what's up with this? And the foot pedal felt weird. I looked down and
mm-hmm.
I realized my foot pedal had snapped.
Ouch. That
But
probably didn't feel good.
no, I mean it was relatively okay plastic. It wasn't like painful, but it was just like a discomfort. Like, why am I feeling a sharp thing on my foot right now? So we
Yeah.
had to like MacGyver it with cardboard and duct tape just to be able to keep playing.
That's yeah. The show must go on, right?
hmm So, but yeah, that I mean that's what got me into a lot more odds and ends. Like in this moment, Dream Theater, a good chunk of Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah. In this moment is very talented. I'm a fan.
hmm
I would say Avenged Sevenfold out of those you just listed. Definitely gosh, I don't know. I kind of wish I had some running tally for how many hours of my life I've spent listening to them, but it's a lot. I'm definitely a fan. Um yeah, I don't know. I think it's really cool, and it's you grow up on music and some of it ages gracefully and some of it doesn't. Um there was plenty from the 2000s that I was really into that looking back it's like ooh, maybe not. Maybe I don't know. I think the 2000s were kind of there were there were gems to be found, but for the most part, I think the 2000s in so many ways were just a really bad time for film, for music. Um, I don't think people are going to look back on the 2000s as fondly as they look back on some time periods. Uh, Maybe I'm wrong. It's not really my place to say, but we'll see. I guess we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I don't know. Do you have like a kind of a weird question? But I find most people seem to. Do you have like a go-to sad song?
Ooh, okay. Sadly, I might have a couple.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
So
I
there's
have a
one
few as well.
by Little Dicky and Brandon Urie called Molly.
Okay.
Um, Happier by DJ Marshmello and Bastille.
Okay.
Um, Danger Line by Avenged Sevenfold, oddly enough.
Yeah, no, I would definitely say that one counts.
And ooh, I'm sure if I were to sit and think more, but those are the ones that just popped right into my head.
Yeah. No, I mean that's all good. I yeah, that's why I asked it though. Is just I feel like it seems like an odd question, but then you ask people and they absolutely do have go-to sad songs. You know.
Well, if you see the music video to Happier, you understand why I consider it. With all the lyrics and whatnot, it sounds like it would be kind of a better cheery up, but when you watch the video, you just want to cry.
Yeah. Which there's nothing wrong with that. We all need a good cry every now and then.
hmm
I don't. I'm all for like feeling things. It's it's good to have those songs that you can go back to and you can say, okay, these are what I listen to when maybe it's been a bad day, or sometimes I don't know, sometimes you just kind of want to kind of sit in the melancholy a little bit. You don't, because happy songs don't really do it when you're not happy. uh you, at least in my experience, if at any point you disagree, let me know, but when I'm not feeling great, I don't like to listen to songs that are like, "Hey, everything's great," because that's not where I am. That's um that mentally that's not my state of mind, so I don't really I don't really want to listen to music that's saying like, I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
There's another one that it's in the back of my mind. I don't 100% remember the lyrics. Um, but like when I first heard it, I'm like, okay, this song is all right. And then I saw another one where I saw the video and I'm like, oh,
Yeah, music videos can reveal a lot about the intention behind a particular song. But it's I don't know. I would say that and it's not just being sad. Music can help you with anything. We kind of talked about what the process is of getting in the proper headspace for just vibing,
Hmm.
just relaxing, taking a load off. Um,
So oddly enough, another one from Gemini Syndrome came out when the whole CD came out when I was in the desert, but is one of those touchy subjects because the album, or not the album, but the song was actually about suicide, and
mm,
unfortunately, I had just had somebody back home who did such that. So
yeah.
when I would hear that and think about what happened to him, it's like shit. This hurts a little bit more.
Oh yeah. It's definitely there are plenty of things in life that the average person can look at and say that's sad, but to actually experience something like that, it takes on a whole new meaning that you can never know from. It's the difference between sympathy and empathy. Anybody can feel sympathy, but empathy is really its own thing, and it's one of those things where empathy is a good thing, but you also don't really wish it on anybody.
Right.
Yeah, it's
There if you need to do it, but at the same token, like it sucks when you have to.
well, yeah, you hate it when there's something a really shitty situation, and you have somebody that can well and truly say, "Yeah, I know how you feel," because that means that they've had the same shitty feelings. And it's yeah. Again, you talk about things you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. Um, yeah, there are definitely plenty of things that you would never wish on your worst enemy. Things that you would never, that no matter how much you dislike someone or how bad you think they are or whatever, at the end of the day, there are things you just don't wish on another human.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I suppose that's neither here nor there. It's just it's kind of interesting, but it's I think that we talk about like vibing and chilling and all that, and I will say I've gone into like having quiet time here lately. That's a big thing for me. And the only downside of it is like I find that now that I'm trying to actively make room for quiet time, I'm having to deal with things I've repressed for a long time because that's what quiet time does to you. Um, do you personally find that you're able to make quiet time throughout the day?
There's been a handful of hours. Usually, what'll happen is, little one gets dropped off. If we need to do errands, we'll do that. And then there'll be a couple of hours where it's just, what I want to do. If I want to play something, if I just want to sit and listen to music, or watch something. But I also will do vibing streams, and I even have like a little reward for like if you want to change it to a different song or different station.
Oh, that's
And I
cool.
use an app called Pretzel Rock, which my sister-in-law, who also streams, she introduced me to, and it has like 50 plus different kind of stations. You name it, it's there. It's all DMC free, so you just log into it and go, and then um, as the songs change, like little pretzel bot will chime into your chat with the song, the artist, if you want to explore it later.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. I've heard of Pretzelbot. I've never used it, but I
Pretzel Rock, excuse me.
Pretzel Rock. No, I think you said it right. I think I just messed up. I heard bot and I was like, okay, so it's a bot.
Well,
I think
it
I did it.
But like if you don't, oddly enough, if you don't want the thing chiming into your chat, you have to actually do like a premium subscription. So I'm like, okay, I see how you did it.
I don't have any issue with like by all means give credit to the artist. Uh, I think that's great. I don't
But when you're little baby me and you're like checking to see if anybody's talking to you, and I'm like, oh, it's just the name of the next song.
no, I mean, and I still definitely get that where I don't know. I find that I'll have like a little reminder come in like, hey, You know, I don't know. Hey, here's something a bot's saying, and I'll, in the corner of my eye, I see it. I'm like, oh, somebody's chatting, and then no, and then no, uh, which is fine. It's again, you talk about there are pros and cons to being a small streamer. And we talk about like the creeps out there. Thankfully, one of the pros is that you just don't really have to deal with the same type of creeps, at least in my experience. I would say that I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe outside of isolated instances, smaller streamers don't have to deal with the insanity that larger streamers have to. But at the same time, I don't know. I think that
Something's better than nothing.
yeah, you want activity, right? Like you don't want it to be nobody's chatting. Like if nobody's chatting, it's hard. I think that's one of the hard things about being a small streamer is finding things to say when nobody else is saying anything. Like what are you supposed to do, right? But I don't know. Would you say you have like vibe streams. You have streams where you're just
hmm
kind of chilling, you're just kind of hanging out. Uh
I would usually save those for like if I was doing something on New World or when I get back into Final Fantasy 14 when that
mhm.
expansion drops. And then it'll either be like I'm working on a just like a gathering or crafting profession where I'm not really going out and you know going through whatever the map has to offer to fight. It's just hey, I'm going to hit up these nodes and just kind of take in the scenery.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. I would say here lately, I've done kind of vibe streams as well, and ironically, they're with New World, um, because you can just kind of mindlessly go break rocks or
hmm
or gather materials, X, Y, Z, whatever it is you're gathering. Um, and it's kind of a thing where if people want to come by and hang out, that's great. But at the same time, I can be perfectly happy just breaking rocks. Like it's just it's just a matter of adding a social element to whatever game it is, uh, which is definitely cool. It's I think that's probably the right way to view streaming. Is I don't know if there's it feels like the right way to just say like well I was gonna play the game anyway, so I thought hey let's see if anybody wants to watch. Yeah, I don't know, that seems to I feel like that's in the very least that's the way that's kind of walking down the path of contentment, right? It's
Oddly enough, I was doing a vibe stream when I like it was my last one I did before I hit affiliate, and I was
mhm.
doing it's kind of like a mindless grind for when I was playing 14 because depending on what class you go off of depends on where you kind of need to set your mind to hitting every one of those like 10 level gaps
Yeah,
because the first 1 through 50 is the vanilla game. 50 through 60 is the first expansion, 60 through 70 is the second, and 70 through 80 is the third. Each of those has a main means that you could just mindlessly do, but it's the fast track. So what I did is I would just have that go, and then I would have the music go in the background and just go about my business.
yeah, that's a good way to do it. It's but it takes some of the pressure off. I think that in streaming you have it where you feel like you need to perform, you know.
Yeah.
And if you just say going in, there's a vibe stream, I'm just hanging out. It takes some of that off. It takes off some of that edge of trying to perform for an audience. All of a sudden you're just kind of hanging out and I don't know, anybody who comes along for the ride is coming along for the ride.
And then you
Uh
sit there like, hey, you want to watch me aggro the whole floor and not care?
yeah, exactly. It's kind of funny because I've had those thoughts where like playing New World, it's like, is it the most entertaining thing I could be doing to just level farm against these skeletons? No, it is not. But is it what I'm gonna do?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And like playing Dead by Daylight, do the people really need another clown game? Doesn't matter. They're getting one.
They're getting clown games. They're getting pinky fingered whether they
there
want to
there's
or not.
we're bringing Pinky Finger and I don't know, maybe maybe the thick corkscrew so I can reload faster. Um, Gosh, the nicest thing behavior ever did to me was not even, it wasn't making Dead by Daylight. That was rather cruel in hindsight. But the thick cork stopper shaves it used to cut the reload time in half before they reworked Clown. And then they made the cork stopper just base kit. And now you
He's
can
just
still stack another cork stopper on there. It's great.
for
It's
reload.
so fantastic. It's like if you want playing this underpowered killer to not feel awful, that's how you do it. So props to behavior. Shout out to them for people talk about the clown buff not doing anything, but I'm gonna be honest. I think most of them that are I think most of them that say clown didn't get much of a buff didn't play a lot of clown, because I'm telling you the difference between pre and post buff clown is substantial. He's not good, mind you, but he's better.
Speaking of which, that Trapper update they did, it
Hmm.
it makes it just a whole world of difference.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy to me it took them that long to address the poster boy, but
Hmm.
I'm happy with the update. I haven't seen a whole lot of I don't know, like a whole lot of talk about it, but I'm happy with the update. I think it actually, the goal of reworking a killer should not be, I don't think that the goal should be, okay, we're going to take this killer and we're going to make them as good as the nurse. It needs to be, let's shoot for B tier, right? If they're like an F tier killer, shoot for B tier. And that way, if you make them a little stronger than intended, they're still just A tier. And if they're a little weaker, you can I don't know, you can still try, but it's, you can try to buff them again, that is. I don't know. I think that people have this thought that it's like, oh, let's buff F tier killers and make them into, whatever. But most F tier killers are only like, they're so close to being viable as it is. There's not a killer in the game that there's not a killer in the game that's just not close to being viable.
I mean, the only thing they really did for Trapper was they gave him an additional trap from the get-go, which is what the community's always been wanting. And then they also gave him two added uh perks or two added add-ons and reworked the bag add-on.
Mm-hmm.
So they have one where it's a yellow. I keep on grabbing it in the bloat web just because it's called coffee grounds. But the minute you put down a trap, you have 5 seconds of haste.
Yeah.
So I have ideas for that later on. The other one is a trap resets um, 2 seconds after a survivor escapes from it.
So they can't
So
so they can't escape and still keep using that loop. It's
pretty much, yes. So what
yeah.
I actually did the other day, and I find this just to be straight up mean, is I took everyone to the game with Trapper
Hmm.
as one. Two, I brought the you start with all the bear traps on you,
Yeah,
but you
but you can't
can't.
pick any of them up.
And then I ran the traps reset every 30 seconds.
No, you said every 30 seconds, not every 2 seconds. Okay.
No,
Uh,
there's one where if they free themselves, it resets after 2 seconds. This one
oh,
is
good, good. I was wondering. That seems so broken, but it's because I didn't understand it. It's if they free themselves. Okay, so they can pop it and it's fine. Because I was thinking about the ones you put by the exit gate. like it's like, well, I guess you're dying. Um, yeah. Okay, I get it now. Okay, yeah,
and
that's
then I
that's good.
basically would I set them on like stairs on certain parts where it was like high traffic, and then as soon as like I pretty much had it to go I had it down to the last gen. But once I had my little labyrinth set up and I started running the people through, either they would take the time to de-arm them or they were gonna jump into it.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's pretty good. That's what I like to see. That.
I also felt kind of bad because I brought the resetting one and I think I also brought the dying one, but more times than not, I never get to have the dying one go into effect. A dude, he escaped from it, the trap reset, and then he fell right back into it. Like as soon he was free, just straight back into it. I'm like, oh no, I feel bad.
Yeah. I honestly, whenever there's whenever there's a trapper game, I think you do have that potential to get steamrolled, yes, but also to have it go in such a way where it's like wow, I feel bad. There's nothing they can do here. it's Trapper. Gosh, it is so satisfying when Trapper hits right.
I
Um,
also brought the I did the one where it was actually the dying if they free themselves, and if they disarm it, they take a hit, and that brought me from a losing game to a 2K.
yeah, it's really nice when you have things turn around because you do reach that point right where it's like it's no longer about a 4K. It's not about 3K. Even for me, it's not even about 2K. Sometimes you just reach the point where it's like one of them is dying. I don't care which. One of them has to die. Uh hmm, yeah, I don't know.
Let me actually spin this around and ask you a question.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I kind of threw this in our bullet points. I figure I might as well just bring it up because this game's been out for a bit. But what does DBD mean to you?
DBD is interesting because the popular things to shit on it, obviously, and that's every popular game, by the way. Um, every game that's popular, no matter what it is, uh, I don't know. It's always going to be there's this certain skew towards negativity, and I get it because I guess my thing is if I'm on if I'm on if I'm on YouTube, right? And I see two videos, and let's say they're even by the same person, which would be illogical for the example I'm giving, but still, and they're released on the same day, same amount of views, whatever. Um, why DVD is amazing or why DVD is terrible? Human nature says go to the negative one. Um, so I think DVD isn't. I don't think it's special. I think people in the DVD community tend to talk about like this community is especially toxic or negative or whatever. I don't think so. I think that just tends to be that way with the fandoms of games that go on for a long time.
You're
So,
go-
mhm.
Sorry, I had you on. I was gonna say you're gonna have toxic people regardless of what game you play.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it was when I played a lot of Rainbow Six Siege. Everybody hated Siege and it was awful, and they kept playing. When I played a lot of Overwatch, everybody hated it and it was awful, and they kept playing. So now that I'm here in Dead by Daylight, and everybody hates it and it's awful, but they keep playing. Like you got to do a lot to really upset people to that point. But I haven't answered your question. I only wanted to preface it by saying I know why it's popular to hate on the
Hmm.
game, and I am not ignorant of some of the downsides of Dead by Daylight because they are real. I have never seen a dev team take this long to fix basic shit. In any of the games I've ever played consistently, Dead by Daylight, I mean, again, like things like giving Trapper a second trap. Are you are you kidding me? It took you 5 years? Like, how, how does that? I don't know. That feels like you just have to change the numbers in the code. Like it's
Better nerf hag.
yeah, better nerf pig again. Um, so I'm not ignorant to some of the more frustrating aspects of it, but at the end of the day, firstly, this is a game tailor made for streamers. This is a game made to stream while you play, especially Survivor, because you get to do the exciting part of chases, but then you get whether it's sitting on a hook or sitting on a gin or whatever, plenty of time to read chat. Um, and there's nothing like it out there. There have been games that try to be Dead by Daylight, but I've had some people kind of almost smugly, oh, there are other asymmetrical games. Yeah, but there's nothing quite like Dead by Daylight. It is a game that found an amazing base formula and concept and ran with it in a way that games such as Evolve or Predator Hunting Grounds did not. Predator, by the way, is being rumored as potentially coming to DBD, so I don't know if anything will come of that, but that'd be awesome. Um, Which, if that doesn't say that game failed, that's if they're ready to pull the plug and just add it to DBD, great. Um, so what DBD means to me is it's the game that I've built. Whatever streaming career I have was built on the back of DBD for sure, and it's a game where I can hop in a video game and play as Pinhead, or play as Pyramid Head, or Freddy Krueger, or Bubba, or
or pig head or
yeah,
clown head.
or pig head or clown head or any of the heads. I think that some of the initial joy, it's not even a matter of I think, absolutely some of the initial joy has worn off in the community of, it was such a big thing when Michael Myers was added. People couldn't believe it. They got Michael freaking Myers for this game that at the time was growing, certainly, but was not nearly what it is now in terms of scale, in terms of audience. I think it's easy to take it for granted, and people get too down in the weeds about, do we want an original chapter or a licensed chapter? And if we get a licensed chapter, who do we want? Because I don't want this person that other people are talking about. But to me, it's so cool. This is horror's version of Smash at this point. And the fact that something like that can not only exist but have a large player base is really, really cool. So it's hard to put it into a succinct answer, but I would say that DBD, it means a lot to me. I really, really care for this game, and I want it to be healthy, and I want it to do well. I want the devs to make good decisions, because sometimes they don't, and I would hate to see the game die off because of short-sightedness. Yeah, I don't know. That's my general answer to it. But tossing it back to you, what would you say Dead by Daylight means to you?
So I got the game shortly after release, and it was like one of my friends like, "Yo, let's get it. It's really scary, whatnot, and have fun with it." But then we kind of all just died off because we're like, it's you know it wasn't our thing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
This was also it was only three killers: Trapper, Nurse, and Billy.
Trapper, Billy, and Wraith were the first three.
Oh, excuse me, yes, and then Nurse, and was it Nurse,
The
Hag,
Nurse came out, and then Huntress.
Huntress. That's right. Yeah, I didn't play it until way later. But like the I was watching like the trailers and the people who were like hooked up to the heart rate monitors, because we thought it was like a legit horror game, and now it's
Yeah.
the I go around pallet now.
Oh, it's a basement Bubba. Like it's a
Really.
yeah.
Which also kind of makes me laugh when I hear, yeah, I mained this survivor. Well, all the survivor perks, as long as you're able to unlock the perk, you can use whatever you want. The only ones that you have to quote unquote think about maining are the killers,
Yeah.
because those are the ones that actually vary. Survivors, you just which one is more cosmetically appealing to you,
Whose skins do you like the most? Yeah.
or who you just like the overall look of.
Well, yeah,
Which
which is there is something interesting to, I think, to try to figure out. I've seen jokes about, representing every Dead by Daylight survivor main with one SpongeBob clip or something, and and it's always like, oh, Dwights are cowards because he hides in the locker. That's the meme. Nia is the entity. Ha ha ha. But I think there's something deeper and fascinating there. Why do we pick the survivor we pick? Because I think you're right. I think people are picking the ones that they relate to the most on some level.
I mean, for me, I probably would be using Bill more, but I would have to first prestige him and then rank him all the way up to 50.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like doing that until some blood point event will help speed that through. And then I'll be like, okay, Bill's finally all maxed out. I can swap over from him to Dwight, because I started with Dwight because he had a blood point perk that everyone's just gonna 2-mana gen at one point, so you're bound to get extra blood points just
Oh
from that
yeah.
alone. And then I had to speed my way through David just to will get to live forever. And then I'm like, okay, I'll just be super altruistic and get the blood points that way.
Yeah. It's I guess there's a fair point to that, where to try to study why people pick the survivor they pick, you would almost have to rule out. You would almost have to have a pool of exclusively people who have every survivor unlocked, and who could have hypothetically guiding them all to level 50, prestige 3 to anyone, whatever, it's because I understand that some people, they're Meg mains, Dwight mains, Claudette, Jake, David, whatever, because they bought the game and that's who they had. Like that's
Mm.
so they put
Yeah,
all the
that's
points into them,
me.
and it's like, why would I P3 Felix when that's gonna take me, X amount longer than if I did it with Claudette, right?
First, you're
Um,
gonna have to either buy him or earn enough iridescent shards to get him, and then from there, yeah, you have to. Unless you really want his perks.
Felix would be a bad example for somebody who you're just going to be itching for their perks. Felix should be base game because all of his perks are like, "Hey, are you new here? This will help." Um, like, it's kind of crazy to me that you have a. I mean, gosh, he came out what chapter like 18 or 19. He was not new into the game's life cycle
No, he's been pretty far out.
when they decided to offer a survivor that came with basically like newbie friendly perks, which actually newbie's a word I haven't used in a while. I don't know where that came from, but it's newbie. Ooh. Yeah, I love his perk visionary for finding gens though, because like it's not that I can't, it's not that, it's just that I'm lazy. And I really like a perk that just shows me where all the gens are. Kind of
No, I need
nice.
that for the RPD level
Oh
because
my
I run
gosh.
losses all get out every time I get onto there.
Yeah, that map needs, sincerely, it just needs to be cut in half. It's I'm of the opinion that if a survivor team comes in and plays perfectly, the killer has no chance at a 4K. However, on RPD, I don't think they even have to play perfectly. I think they just have to play well. Like they just have to play pretty well, and the odds of a 4K are drastically low. As long as they don't 3-gen themselves, that map is so brutal. It's
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. Everybody's so happy about Hawkins leaving, but like
I liked Hawkins.
I'm a big fan of Hawkins. I'm glad to hear that because I never got much support when I talk about missing Hawkins. Um I wish what they would do with Hawkins is just reskin it. Just reskin it and make it the Trickster's map because Trickster came out without a map.
Um,
Um
Hawkins is probably my favorite Wraith map because I will do Silent Bing Bong and I will always have a wall up to hide behind before I can just
mhm.
uncloak and whip around the corner and either rip you off the gen or just get a good hit in.
It's actually a good map for quite a few killers. I don't know why so many killers talk about it like it's Haddonfield. Haddonfield is very hard for quite a few killers. Um, but in the case of Hawkins, even somebody like Clown, who it's really tough to think of a good Clown map. So many of the palettes are unsafe in Hawkins that as long as you're willing to risk it, you can have some very good games as Clown on Hawkins. Because where Clown does well is the 50-50 palettes. And yeah, I don't know. I'm going to miss Hawkins. I'm really going to miss it. There are quite a few killers who do not have maps attached to them. I don't see why they wouldn't just, even if they legally have to rework it a little bit, keep the bare bones of the map, reskin it, and make it a blight map or make it a trickster map. Or I mean, it's already like a secret lab. You could reach out to the Resi people and see if it could be an umbrella lab. Like it's,
For
I don't
Nemi,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know. I'm sad to see it go. I really am.
No, there's also a handful of maps that they're kind of like doubled up for killers.
Yeah,
I mean, and we're getting a brand new one with the artist.
which is a really cool map, by the way. Uh, I can't speak on it from a viability standpoint. Like, I haven't played on it yet because I don't have the PTB installed right now, and I've been away from my house for a few days. But it looks amazing. It's a beautiful map.
It's a lot more, how do I describe it? Top open.
Hmm.
Like there's, from with the exception of maybe that center pillar, which might go down to a basement. There's like nothing above you, so there's no, go on top of the hill or, a couple of examples could be like, uh, there's not even like a barn or anything. They might have a killer shack, but or what they could have are like crypt tombs
Yeah,
that you could go inside and attempt to loop around.
which would be pretty cool. It's
but I haven't looked too much. I usually prevent looking too much into the odds and ends until after I get my own hands on it, like in the normal live server. I
yeah.
used to, oddly enough, at my last base, like as soon as I'd get into work and get set up on my desk, I would just uh I watched Hybrid Panda a lot because he had a lot of fun builds that he would do as well as just his content.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Uh I've always enjoyed, and Polyester will do some of those where he goes through and points out all the stuff going on in the map, and it's really cool. There are a lot of details added to these maps, and I think it's really fun to watch. I just I don't know. I think that the new map, it's what I like to see, because one of the things that people accuse behavior of that I don't think is entirely fair, actually. Again, I'll call them out on the things that I think aren't cool, but there seems to be this sentiment that they don't experiment with things, but I would argue they do, actually. I would argue that the issue that they run into is if they make a bright map, people complain it's too bright. And if they make a dark map, people complain it's too dark. And if they do one that's like Goldilocks, right, that's just right, people are like, we've seen this shit before.
Why don't you make something different?
Yeah, it's kind of, it's very much a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Which I'm not too sympathetic, just because I know that's part of content creation. I get it. It's every game out there deals with that, where if you announce the new chapter and the killer is, I don't know, they're Ethiopian, right? You're gonna have somebody in the comments on that tweet saying, I was really hoping for a Turkish survivor this time. You always get you're always going to have people who complain, no matter what you do. Even if you were to put one, okay, you know, every we're going to release a survivor for every nationality, sexuality, ethnicity, every box you could potentially tick, right? We're gonna really solve. You'd still have somebody who, this really just seems like pandering. Like, it's kind of, you can't win, so don't bother trying to appeal to people like that. So I like things like this new map where they're trying something, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it really doesn't. Haddonfield, I love what they were trying. Hate the map.
Kind of like what happened with RPD. Yeah, we made a map. Oh, it's not working right now though.
And the thing with RPD is I still find myself when I play there. First off, when I play there as a survivor, I get hyped. I'm like, okay, well, easy peasy, let's go. Even though I will say the one downside of it is I find that it's such a big map that I think I've been left to die on first hook there more than any other map. Like, people just don't want to trek across the map. But I think when I'm playing on RPD, I still find myself just in awe sometimes. Like, they did such a good job of bringing Resi 2's map to DBD. It's beautiful. It's really good looking. It's an awesome map. Just too big. Cut it in half. Um, that's such a pivotal part of the Resi series, is having areas locked off that you'll be able to access later. So it actually works perfectly lore wise that you would have some areas locked off, right? You don't. I don't know. The map would be.
So it would be kind of like the game where you do a gen, all of a sudden this wall opens up. So
Well, I mean, maybe, but realistically, I'm just saying you could have like the way blocked, and it could be a little reference with, aha, you need the pink key to get through here, and realistically, you can't get through there. But at least it's like, okay, I get it. That's how they're justifying it being closed off. To me, the issue is I don't have an issue with them being like double, I guess, two-storied maps. Like, that's fine. Um, Really three-story if you think about it, because the library adds a third story. Um, it's just too much. It's way too much ground to expect a killer to cover. And what it encourages from killers is bad behavior. It encourages the type of playstyle that people get angry about. You hook somebody and you camp. And you may say, well, a good team's going to hammer out gens while you camp. Yeah, that's true. But most teams aren't good teams. Most
you're either
teams
gonna
are
get
going
the
to.
one person who's like, yeah, I'll go over there and save you, and then either they're running a an insta down killer, or they're just gonna sit there and wait for you to make your attempt, and they're just gonna rip you right off.
Or my personal favorite, you have the one person on hook and the other three all waiting around to try to make the save. So literally nobody's on a generator. And yeah, it encourages that, because if you're a killer, it's like, well, this is a huge map. You know, I can't get from point A to point B without a gen popping. So yeah, let me just hang out near this hook. And even I find myself, and you know, I'm a big believer that you can play the game how you want to play the game. Um, you could be a perfectly good moral person who also camps in Dead by Daylight. I promise it's possible. Uh, but I find myself kind of proxying on that map, and it's not a way I like to play the game, but it's effective. It's definitely because my options are basically, you know, uh, go to the other side of the map and give them the easiest save of their life, or I can kind of hang out in the area until I see scratch marks. And I don't feel great about it, but I do feel like a winner. So
But if they they three gen
yeah, if
themselves.
they
Like, hey,
three gen themselves, you know, what was I supposed to do about it? And that's my favorite thing though, is when you get to talk about DBD toxicity and salt. You know, whenever
which is
you,
probably a good reason why they didn't incorporate a voice chat into the game, and it's only via, texting at the very end.
yeah, still, I don't know, gosh, the most fun I had was in the Friday the 13th game with that proximity voice chat. To have this big hulking Jason chasing you with some fucking dude on the, I'm gonna get you, like it's amazing, it's great. I loved Friday the 13th, and I hate that the lawsuit killed it, because I think that was bad for everybody. It's bad for the game because it killed it. But it's also bad for Dead by Daylight. Their chief rival was gone, and yeah, they were able to take their foot off the gas a little bit.
But now you've got a couple other odds and ends that are out. There was like a Chinese ripoff that was created. I don't know how well that did. You have Devour, which there isn't as I don't think there's many killer. I think it's actually just four people against an AI killer.
Mm.
And then you also have In Silence, which it only had the one map, but you had as opposed to trying to escape, it was well, no, you could escape. You either could escape or you stood your ground against the killer. So I don't know if Friday the 13th had that. And
Yeah,
then
you could kill Jason.
there's and then you have the Left 4 Dead setup, which is like, obviously Left 4 Dead and then Back 4 Blood. There's another one I stumbled upon that I believe is still in the works, but I've seen a handful of, CGI trailers for it, but it's called Midnight Ghost Hunt.
Hmm.
And it's um take like Luigi's Mansion, but make it 4v4.
Okay, okay, that's cool.
So I'm in their Discord, and I've been kind of keeping an eye on it to see like what all they're going to have, when they're going to drop um, access codes for it. So hopefully
Yeah,
I'll get it at one point.
I look at Dead by Daylight's situation as kind of it's kind of similar to like the WWE in wrestling, where
Hmm.
every few years you feel like you get a new WWE killer. Like this is going to be the one that gives them. This is going to be the WCW to their WWE, like the actual rival. And you get so used to saying like, you know, WWE killer, that it becomes a meme. Like, oh, is this the new? Because that same thing. Like, oh, is this the new DVD killer? But it is interesting because I don't watch it like I used to. But apparently in wrestling, there's a new company, AEW, that's like doing really well, signing top guys, getting great ratings, and they have legitimate competition now. And I think that Dead by Daylight is in a similar situation where they probably feel pretty safe. But all it takes is one game to come along and capture the hearts and the imagination of the general player base that plays games like DBD. And all of a sudden DBD's in real trouble. Um, you know, you have to constantly put your best foot forward, because you never know. Like, yeah, there's sometimes you can look at a game and say, yeah, this is not, this ain't it. Uh, Predator Hunting Grounds was pretty immediately not it. Yeah, and then you have some like people tried to, blow a lot of smoke for Home Sweet Home. I thought it was terrible. I did not enjoy the game. Um,
Was
did.
that the one where it was like the Hello Neighbor spinoff? With you?
No, no, this was one where you were able to, let's see. I was trying to look at my Steam library to Home
You said Home
Sweet
Sweet Home?
Home. I thought that's what it was called. Yeah, Home Sweet Home Survive. It had a very either Japanese or Korean aesthetic or something like that, and
Okay, I found it. Let me take a look, see.
it was it was blown up for a while as like oh, this could actually be the one, and I played and I was like, yeah, this is not the one.
Oh, what was that one where it was like you could be three different killers and then you were against the kids in school and whatnot.
Uh, first year I think,
Yeah.
last year I think, something. Yeah, last year.
It,
Last year was fun. I liked last year.
where it was not only you had to escape, but you also had means of fighting off the killers.
And its whole issue was what was it? It did the exclusivity deal right out of the gate,
Yeah.
and those are just mistakes now. People don't like exclusivity outside of the saddest group of people that would ever exist, which are the console fanboys, right? The more exclusives crowd. Where look, I want as many people to be able to play great games as possible. So I don't want games to be exclusive. It is a company's choice by all means, but if it were up to me, PlayStation users would be able to play Gears of War and Halo, and Xbox users would be able to play Uncharted and God of War. You know, like I don't like the whole. So last year, doing exclusivity out of the deal, out of the gate, was really a kiss of death to a game that actually had potential. And I'm super sad because I'm looking at it in my Steam library right now. Its last dev announcement was on October 26th, 2020. So it's dead. But it's a shame because it was I thought it was fun. I thought that as far as DBD killers go, it had promise. It wasn't perfect by any means, but it had some promise. Yeah, unfortunately, just uh, you know, just didn't work out. It though I think that one more than anything else, right? Exclusivity is just so stupid. It's so
Evolve even had that like right from the get-go was, if you want to play all these things up, you're just gonna have to buy it.
yeah. Evolve killed itself with just stupid amounts of microtransactions. Um, in some ways, Evolve was ahead of its time. It was nowadays. I don't actually think that Evolve would be looked at as all that wild for how much it did. But at the time, you got to keep in mind, people freaked out over horse armor um, in Oblivion because they're like, "This is ridiculous. Why would I buy something that's strictly cosmetic?" Uh,
Because reasons.
if only they could see. Yeah, it's crazy. It's what is interesting though is I was looking it up because we were talking about all the failed DVD killers. Predator Hunting Grounds released DLC as recently as October 28th, 2021. It's just a skin for the Predator, but the fact that they're still putting DLC out there is kind of wild. That's
For the very small crowd. And then there was, I believe, the Alien Fire Team.
yeah, which wasn't that wasn't a DVD killer. I always thought that was
Well,
kind of its own thing, right?
yeah, they're trying their whole little spins of, sticking four people in a game and with a horror aspect and seeing how well it goes. But there's usually they're forgetting something in the formula of having a decent game.
Yeah. Uh, wait, did Halo Infinite come out today?
It did. Multiplayer's free. Campaign you have to pay $60 for though.
Wart.
I loved Halo 3 back in my old Xbox 360 days.
Love Halo. Halo has a special place in my heart. So cool. That's
I did play a couple of the beta, or I got into the beta the one time. I got to mess with like the training grounds, some PvP. but my little laptop can only handle so much. So
Yeah, it's just so cool that we're getting more Halo. I don't know. Halo's one of those that no matter how many times they hurt me as a franchise, it's like I'll always come. Don't worry, baby. Don't worry, I don't have the self-control to stay away. Um Tragically. But I do want to play a Poppy Playtime as well. That's my recommended. To give that a
So
try.
the only problem with that is A, it's only one chapter, and if you know the route, you can literally beat the thing in like 10 minutes.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Ew. Well, it is $5. I was just looking. It's $5.
I don't know if they're gonna do the whole thing where it's gonna come out in like chunks and then each one is gonna be $5, or
Yeah, probably
'cause
so.
if you're paying
Uh,
$5 for every like not even half hour of gameplay, what are you really getting out of it?
yeah.
You just
No,
watch
that's
the
fair.
people who upload it to YouTube and get jump scared for the same effect.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely fair. I think that honestly, I would get more playtime out of it because I'm awful at puzzles. Um, but this is probably like a 40-minute experience for me. But
There weren't even that many puzzles until like you actually bump into the thing you have to run for your life from.
oh, by the way, about this game, the game currently includes the first chapter. Any future chapters will also cost $4.99 and will be in the form of DLC.
Exactly. They're gonna charge you $5 for every 30 minutes of gameplay.
It's I wonder if it's gonna get to, like I think sometimes about the, the the getting into DBD. You know, it doesn't seem like much for me because like every 3 months I pay like $7 for a new killer. um, but if you're just now getting into it, it's like that's a lot. That heads up. We're on chapter 22.
Like for
As
instance, Resident Evil 2 Revelations, they came out in $6 bundles.
mm-hmm.
And there's episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 extra episodes.
So here's
So,
something. Here's something interesting. A damning indictment of everything game
mhm.
on the new and trending. Right. Number one is Halo Infinite, and number three is Battlefield 2042. Right.
Yeah, that
Uh,
also came out, didn't it?
yeah. Well, number two. Number two is
We're not gonna talk about that number 2. I
Furry
saw that.
Sex Cabaret.
Why? Why is this on new and trending?
This
But how about that? Wait, what number is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Number 8. And just look at that bottom photo.
I was gonna say I had to count. I'm not good at counting.
I had to count 2.
um, Axis and Allies.
The one below that. I miscount.
Oh, oh, sorry.
No, I counted right.
Did I miss
The one
one,
below
two,
that.
3, 4, 5, 7, 8? Oh, Jurassic World Evolution 2 with a
Look at that. Look at that bottom photo when you
beautiful
hover over it.
Spinosaurus. I love.
I
I
know.
I love that there's a new Skyrim. They announced it. They re-released Skyrim. Let's go. Oh, it's okay, Todd. I'll pay for it again. Don't worry about it. Oh my. How many times? Like realistically, how many times can they re-release the same game?
There is yes.
The answer is yes. Goodness gracious. Even even by Bethesda, no, even by like just video game standards, this is getting greedy. This is getting pretty greedy. This is yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like at this point we're just talking about what we see on Steam. It's turns out Steam is like it's a gift in its own right, but it's also what a cesspool. What a cesspool they've made here. Um
You
yeah,
got all the
huh.
highs and lows in one page of what
Yeah.
Steam has to offer.
That's ooh. Ooh, this is a little bit. You're right though. It really is like you have some things like Halo Infinite. It's like oh, it's so cool, and then you have some things that's like
It reminds me of this meme where it's like person downloads an H game. You have 12 other friends that have this in their library. Wait a fucking minute.
Yeah. Oh, I love it because I do that. I do that where I go like scouring to see what's the most degenerate shit I can find. And my hope is that I can find so and so owns this game. um Not a lot of luck with that, but also not entirely unfruitful. That's not a term. That's yeah. He is oh my gosh, it's things like right now I'm gonna count this. Let's see. Honey Pop 2 double date. Let's see how many friends in my library own this. Seven friends already own this game. And I'm not gonna call any of them out, but you know some of them. What the fuck, guys? What the fuck, guys? Wonder. Okay, the first Honey Pop's been out longer. Honey Pop, whatever. Um, let's see how many people. 9. 9 friends already own it, and 1 wants it. All right, bet, Mize. Bet. I'm about to buy you something. It's okay to pay for hentai so long as it's not for you. Um, that's the rule, by the way.
And sometimes you just get it as a gag gift.
Yeah, I mean,
If you really know the person.
I don't know. I'm not.
Way back when, someone actually got me a T-shirt to Faku.
Is that similar? I'm not degenerate enough to know.
It was a Dojin website. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I'm not so sure about that side of Steam.
It's the Lion King. What about that shadowy place over there? That's the degenerate side, Simba. You must never go there.
I'm very afraid of that side of Steam. There are all kinds of things that that I look at them and but I don't know. It's like I don't like to.
But why?
I don't like to judge what people enjoy. We're gonna use the word enjoy, um, to any degree. um, but about some of the stuff that's out there. It's hard for me to even comprehend. It's yeah, but to each their own, right? At the end of the day, I'm a very live and let live guy. So if that's what you like, that's what you like. But why? I don't know. I feel like I sound more and more like almost unrelatable, like kind of almost boomer territory with each second I spend not understanding hentai. Um, I think it just goes back to some things are just not for me, right? So not everything on planet Earth is made for me, right? So I'm just gonna leave that as one of the things that I just do not understand. Um, Tragically and or thankfully. Um, that I don't know. I feel like I've kept you long enough. I feel like it's almost 2 hours, so I don't want to. I don't want to just talk nonsense the whole time. But I will say, because I feel like there were a couple more hours left in the tank. Maybe a part 2 is in order at some point. Um, if we can fit you on the really busy wait list. Yeah, I got fucking people on the other line. They're saying, "Hey, got invited to do Rogan, but I want to know. Did I get on your show? Because if not, I'm gonna take Rogan." No, it's we've
It
made
took
it.
me a second. I'm like, oh.
We've made it. It doesn't matter that they're all bot accounts I created. They're still. I still have these messages. Yeah, I know. It's but yeah, I guess I don't have. We laughed about it last week a little bit. There's no poignant, like there's no professional. Okay, this is how we close the show. There's nothing like that. There's nothing. There's no order here. None of this works. None of this makes sense. I go back to Norm Macdonald had a show, which EIEIO and all that. And he had a guest on, Super Dave. And Super Dave had this rant where he's like, "You're so talented, and this is what you're doing. You're doing the show for 12 people back at home." And like that's what I think about is outside of the talent part, right? Is like that's the vibe I want to give off here. Is like what are we even doing? What is this? So Asridain, real name redacted because we talked about that. See, we're circling. That's what a professional podcaster would, if this were a podcast. You say whatever piece you want. You can literally say the most heinous shit, and I'm not going to stop you. This is your final. This is the final appeal to the people. This is what do you want to close it on?
Well, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be on your not a podcast, or is it?
Yeah, it's no
And
podcast.
yeah, it was fun, kind of delving into the odds and ends of what we've been messing with recently, and just the conversations that are always enjoyable to have.
I
Um,
uh I thought you were gonna leave that. It was fun, kind of. I thought that was your
no,
review.
I'm gonna hit you with that
And
Irish goodbye and
and
just leave.
I was gonna put that as like you see like a movie cover art and they have like the rave reviews. Like that was my rave review. It was fun, kind of. It was
5 out of 7 on Rotten Tomato.
Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes, the site where movie critics and the common everyday man come together to give everything a 7 out of 10. Uh,
Hmm.
Citizen Kane, yeah, that's a 7 out of 10. Dark Knight, 7 out of 10. Adam Sandler's Jack and Jill, well, that's a 7 out of 10 if I've ever seen one. Uh, there's nothing risky about giving it a 7 out of 10. But
I give things 5 out of 7s though.
yeah, fuck yeah, man, fuck yeah. I don't even know how to calculate that.
Nah, but if you are wanting to do a part 2 at some point, I'm more than happy to hop on again.
Yeah, it was good. We didn't get to it. We'd meant to talk about Pokemon a little bit, but I try to keep this to like roughly 2 hours because
Tell you what,
I know that I'd go on and on. No.
we'll hit them with a bit of a sneak peek of what we'll probably do. We're gonna go through tier lists.
Yeah, we'll do some tier lists. We'll talk about the absolute fuckers.
Just
Um
nothing but absolute
the
fuckers.
greatest category of them all. Yeah, just go through and find all the Pokemon that would fall into that. Um all right, well thank you so much for joining me. This is exactly as chaotic as I had hoped the not podcast would get. I like that we say, okay, well, we're gonna start off talking about this, and within 10 minutes we're like hopelessly strayed from whatever the original plan was. That's what I like about it. That's the entire goal of it. So thank you for hanging out. If anybody is listening to this and says, hey, I like Asridain a lot more than I like food. Uh, First off, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna call you a liar.
yeah. Well, no. First off, that's fair and whatnot. Go down to the description below. I will drop the links to find Azurdain on Twitch. Usually, I was gonna say usually it's like, you can find him streaming so and so, but honestly, you mix it up a lot more than I do. So it's one of those
I'm very haphazard with my time, so if I
one of
go
those
live, I go live.
one of those weirdies who likes to keep things fresh and interesting. I hope my mic's not picking up the dog barking just outside the window. It's not
Oh,
it's not my dog. It's not Paco. It's there's this cute little dog next door neighbor has named Skipper, and Skipper is really sweet and doesn't bark much. So I'm hoping I'm not about to get like murdered because Skipper never barks. So I'm kind of worried as to why Skipper's barking. I called Skip. We know each other.
I heard it for like very faintly, but
All
it's all
right,
good.
well, it's like an audible Easter egg. If you heard it, you heard it. If not, thank you to Yeti for making a high quality mic that does not pick up background noise. Thank you, thank you. But thank you again to Azurdain for coming on. And at some point, we'll definitely have to get a part 2 going. Next week, I think we're going to have Rat on, royalty-free Rat, to talk about conspiracy theories. Don't hold me to it, but but yeah, if there's ever an episode I'm worried about getting canceled over, it's whatever comes next week, because my mind is a vile cesspool. But anyway, thank you so much, Asridain, for coming on. Thank you to anyone who listened to the podcast. I think you just right there for all the lovely, lovely listeners. Just a kiss right in your ear hole. And I guess we will see you next time. Goodbye, people.
Laters.